sometimes there can be another part of us that thinks, oh, no.
You secretly believe that you can't be spiritual and mega rich at the same time? Well, today's guest, Tania Prince, puts me on the spot during this interview as she takes me through this very unconscious belief that I've been carrying. My featured guest today is Tania A. Prince, creator of MBIR, an exciting new healing tool she calls Mindfulness-Based Inner Repatterning. Now, Tania, we know from your bio that you have been long involved in EFT tapping as a master trainer and one of the original founding masters. Can you tell us how this has evolved and when you realized that this was a tool on its own that you can train people in?
Yes, I've been involved in the therapy field for many years. I initially trained as a hypnotherapist, but my interest in self-help goes much deeper than that. And one of the things that happened when I was trained as a hypnotherapist, I'm an NLP trainer as well, is the idea that we have all the resources within us to heal ourselves. And really, when I come in as a therapist, I'm supporting your own natural healing mechanisms. Now, when I developed the MBI, literally what had happened at that point is I've worked with thousands of people with EFT. In fact, I still work with people with EFT because I do find it a buzz and great fun. It's lovely seeing those transitions. And there's a different energy in the two techniques, which is very interesting. So I was getting these very complex clients coming to me, the kind of people who you're thinking you can't really break the problem that they're bringing down into a linear fashion, A, B, C, D. It's like all in your face, all at one time. And my philosophy all the way through being a therapist is, what's the easiest way to help this person get the result that they want? The easiest way that's going to stick and stay for them. And as they're with this client, I was thinking, all right. Now, the thing is, when you're working with these complex problems, often you get a lot of resistance to change. And you don't really want to encounter that head first straight on, simply because these patterns of behavior can be quite complex. So I thought, I need a technique that bypasses this resistance that they're basically not going to see coming. Because if they come to see me as a therapist, they give me permission to help them get the result. So part of them does want that result, but we'll often have other parts of us that will fight that change process. So I wanted a technique that would bypass that. And that was one of the initial thoughts behind mindfulness-based inner repatterning.
So what I'm hearing is that there's a reason why is there resistance sometimes in a complex issue.
So you develop a lot of these things like limiting beliefs, I'm not good enough, or it's not safe to be visible, etc., often quite early in life. And the thing is, they don't naturally change as your circumstances change. So as your circumstances change, you can find yourself in a very different environment to the environment that was there when the original kind of programs were developed. When people come to see a therapist, really it's about improving the quality of their life. Yeah. What happened earlier in life is survival is priority. So these programs pop up to help you survive difficult situations. And they will continue often until something is done to change them. That's where the resistance comes. You've got these deeply held survival responses that are helping you survive. And we need to create the conditions whereby they're no longer needed.
Yes, so I'm going to ask you for an example. And because you did write a chapter about public speaking, this book, I'd like you to just use, not necessarily the whole example, but how could a earlier memory that we've buried and kept as a protective mechanism apply to someone who can't feature as a public speaker without a lot of anxiety?
Public speaking, which I've done a lot of work with, and fear of public speaking can often be the underlying causation of that can be maybe when, say, you think of your early life and the things we experience. A lot of the important people in our early life are the family, teachers, etc. So if, for example, you went up to a parent and showed them a piece of the work that you'd done, and they look disappointed, doesn't even have to be said in words, then there's a response in you when you have that. And so therefore it can feel uncomfortable You think about they're looking at you and then you get this negative kind of experience. So then you go in front of an audience later in life with that background, that kind of database behind being in front of an audience or being there put on the spot, and that program's still running. And so therefore you can see you wouldn't necessarily feel that comfortable when you've had a lot of those kind of experiences of someone giving you that kind of response early in life.
In Tap Into Your Best Life, you give an example, client story, where although she had a high position, when it came to giving a presentation, and she had no idea where this might come from.
The interesting thing about that particular lady in the book is that she said whenever she went to present in front of an audience, she felt like a little child.
Okay.
And technically what's happened is that she's been triggered by the idea of being in front of an audience, and it's regressing her right back to the point in time when that problem began, which obviously she was a little child. So what we did with the MBIR is we got her to bring awareness to the little child. And whilst we're tapping, breathing, and we've established a safe state for her body to be in, so we're feeling safe at that point in time when we begin to work on it, then I had to have a sense of breathing and that little child. And when she did that, she had that sense of it. And then we kept her, made sure she was back feeling safe again. And you can do that quite simply by working with how the body functions.
Yes.
In the focus of the eyes.
Okay, so that is a very good segue, an example of this previous incident, and she not remembering it particularly or knowing it that and then until she said those words, then let's go through the steps. So you start. I just wanted to give someone an example. It would be public speaking, and I feel like a little child. So take us through step by step what you would do in an MBIR session with her. So step one.
Yeah. First thing, we identified the issues she wanted to work on, and she said it was this public speaking issue. We established what the problem was.
Step one, the intention that the person at some level wants to change, even though there might be complex reasons why she hasn't changed. So what is that step?
Yeah. Well, I simply asked, what is the problem you want to deal with? She said, basically, whenever I stand up in front of an audience, I feel like a little child. And so I didn't need to know a lot more than that. What I knew there is standing up in front of an audience triggers her. It's a trigger point, yeah? So that's the problem she's working on. And then once we'd have established that, she could feel that right in that moment when she said that, how she felt as that child. So you've got something to use as a feedback mechanism in that moment. However, then what we did is we put that aside for a moment and we established safety by getting her to tap on the thymus point. If you want to try tapping right now, Caryl, if you want to just try how this feels for you.
Yes, yes.
Just, if you find where the two collarbones meet for about 3 inches
down.
There.
Yes.
And
you tap move my mouth because
I never told you I was going to do this before we started.
I know, because obviously I'm trained in tapping and I'm interested into how there is some tapping involved. There's no specific memory or outcome we are going to, is there? Or are we saying, even though I feel like this, I accept it anyway? Do we say that? No.
Not even need to do that, Caryl.
Okay, so carry on.
Go about 3 inches down, slightly lower down. Yeah. Tap on that point. The skin is very thin at this point in your body, so be very gentle with you. Yeah? All right. And as you're tapping, just for now, yeah, slow it down. And as you slow it down, remember to breathe. And as you breathe at a pace that's right for you, what I want you to do is look forward with your eyes, slightly elevated, choose something to focus on. And then when you have done that, soften the focus of your eyes and allow your vision to expand out exactly as it would do if you were at the beach. That lovely feeling we could have. Soften the vision, allow the vision to expand out. And of course, do remember to breathe at a pace that is right for you. And as you do that, just stop for a second. How did that feel for you, Caryl?
Yes, it felt, I know I'm a fast tapper, and I have used a technique called slow tapping sometimes consciously. So I like the slowing down, that I can feel my mental state has recreated that wide expansion.
If you look at that, I'm sat here right now, and if there was a noise behind me that I was unfamiliar with, it could be threatening to me. So naturally what would happen is my vision would tighten up and I would look just to identify what the threat is. And as your vision tightens up, your body prepares to deal with whatever that might be, because when it is a potential danger, we haven't got that time to think, oh, let's get ready for dealing with. No, we've got to be there like that, haven't we, really? So so your vision goes tighter, your body tenses, ready to deal with that. Equally, when we come out into that expanded vision state, which is often a state for many people, if you like being down the beach, that's that state you experience there. Or other people in the countryside, their eyes just come out and it just feels so good. And you suddenly become more present in this moment, in the now. So it's a natural phenomenon. It's just the eyes are directly connected to the nervous system and they act as an on-off switch to the fight or flight response. And so we're using a natural process working in alignment with how the body functions to bring the person into a state of feeling safe now. And we feel it through the body, don't we really? I tell you why, when we experience some stressful situation, often we hold on in the breath. And so in MBIR, all we have to do is break that cycle so that they don't have to breathe a particular way. All they have to do is breathe. It's breaking the cycle of holding on in the breath. So breaking one of the trauma cycles. So it makes it much easier to let go of things if you're not holding on with your breath.
Yeah, so that's step one is the intention. Step two is this expanded state, correct?
I'll pull it back a little bit because what we do is establish safety first, yeah? Which is that 3 different things in that, which would be tapping on the thymus point. Now, you notice that I slowed you down, yeah? And as you slowed down, you might have noticed you slowed down. We go into synchronization with the rhythm. And as we slow down, we come into a really nice place of being. In fact, just do it right now, Caryl. Tap fast and notice how that makes you feel. Slow it down and notice how that makes you feel.
Definitely.
It quietens things down, doesn't it? It brings us more into the present.
And by the time I come back, my eyes start higher up, but they come back to normal, do they, while I'm breathing and tapping?
I usually get people to do it slightly elevated, and then just soften the focus. And by the way, you can do it with your eyes closed as well. You don't have to have your eyes open.
Okay.
If I was to do that with you right now, Caryl, yeah, you tap on the thymus at a pace that feels right for you, nice and slow rhythm. Remember to breathe. And as you do that, bring awareness to the muscles of your eyes. And imagine you're looking at something in the distance that's just slightly elevated. And when you have done that, just soften the muscles of your eyes and allow your vision to expand out, exactly as it would do if you were at that beach. A lovely expanded vision state, a nice, soft vision state. No stress, no strain, it's a very normal state. And breathe, just remember to breathe at a pace that is right for you. And even bring your awareness to the muscles of your eyes now. And if you were smiling with those muscles of your eyes, imagine what the muscles of your eyes would feel like. All right, for a moment, just stop tapping, come back to now. How do you feel?
Yeah, but no, make sure you are relaxed. Your eyes are now relaxed.
Yeah.
And your body follows.
When you bring awareness to the muscles of your eyes and have a sense of smiling with the muscles of your eyes, it releases feel-good hormones. So what we're doing at the very beginning of MBIR is we're establishing safety within the body. Now, you do have to do this at a pace that's right for the person you're working with so that they do feel in control when you're doing this. So there are a lot of people feel very comfortable coming into this nice, safe place. Other people, you have to go do it at a pace that's right for them. So you do adapt it dependent on the person.
Yeah.
And here now I'm able to see you. And I do know when you did it with your eyes, there was a beaming smile question, but it's not.
I'm thrilled about being taken by the master through the tools. And anyone watching, by the end of this episode, Tania, what do you expect that people will benefit from sticking with us as we go through it? How do you think my podcast listener will feel if she just stays with us as we go the process?
I think a podcast listener, I always think, because I've just demonstrated something. It's something that they can do. Yeah. And it's a very usable tool, very healthy tool. I say to many people, even if they just did that piece of the process, because it is a bigger process than what I've done right now.
Which we're going to get to, but this alone is gold for someone.
It brings your system into regulation. So it regulates the nervous system. So really powerful. And it feels good, doesn't it? Come into that nice place. And it's so healthy for you to do that.
Yeah.
What I would say is a lot of people, when they get problems in life, dwell on the problems. They're thinking about it left and center. And I think that's a natural way that we go. But what happens is it puts our body into a stress response. See, each thought is firing up the fuel of stress. And the thing is, the more effort you put in, sometimes the less you get back, isn't it? The more you fight something, the more resistance you get. What you're looking at here is we're doing it in a very different way. In an empowering way, coming into regulation.
Yes.
The interesting thing is when you come into regulation, often things begin to improve anyway at that point.
Presuming that the person is ready for the next step, is there anything where we would go next? Now, you and I have, before the podcast, talked about a session that I would like to do that relates to money and success and wealth creation and abundance. Even though that's going to be a separate time we spend, should we proceed as if someone had maybe that issue? Where would we go next to apply this to money blocks?
The thing is, you can start from many points on a money block because maybe there's a reason why we have a money block. If I was to ask you, Caryl, if there was a reason for that money block, what would having a lot of money, what would the drawback of that be for you? As much as we might think, I want that. Sometimes there can be another part of us that thinks, oh, no. Yeah.
I think as I've hinted before, and it came out just unbidden when we had a chat before, is that growing up with a very modest mother and German nuns in a school, the idea of money and going for millionaire, billionaire status, as a lot of us are encouraged to do today, let's say, or even more wealth creation, it felt out of kilter with my identity as a modest person who wants to help people in the world, but doesn't want to overcharge or be seen as greedy. It was mainly the modesty part that came up. And you said, oh, that sounds like an interesting pattern, let's say, to repattern. And I don't mind saying that now. We haven't gone through the whole process, but that's how mine began with you.
Pull that back a bit. You give us a lot of information. There's an idea of modesty and all the beliefs you hold around that. Yeah. I don't want to appear greedy. Yeah. All right. So there's some kind of, if I ask for a certain level of money, people are going to be judging me in that way. There was a lot that you said. Now, I didn't pick out all of them, but there were several things you said in there which identified certain blocks that you would have. And the fact you're brought up, I think, did you say with nuns?
Yeah, my mother was Catholic and I went to a Roman Catholic school with German nuns. So they were quite strict about life. And obviously, I do admire the spiritual tradition of monks and people who release the need to acquire money. And yet, one of my favorite people that I admire is Yogananda, an autobiography of a yogi. He and his master, money came into their lives when they needed it and how they used it. But it wasn't their main driver, but they were never lost. They always could bring it forward into what they wanted it for, to change the world and heal the world. So I would like to have that same ability to expand my wealth and abundance as a healer and as someone who's doing good in the world and not cut myself short. So to straddle both worlds, I suppose if you could call it the spiritual or the altruistic, and looking after oneself and your own needs.
Yeah. I would say being a spiritual person doesn't mean to say you can't have a lot of money and be a spiritual person.
Yeah, I've looked at that as an obvious block to many people. And I think I've overcome it because I don't give everything away for free.
We can have these barriers, these little areas we can maybe move up into another comfort zone. Yeah. And really, we want to maybe move up into an even better comfort zone. So you can be very spiritual, but what feels right for you. But equally, that doesn't say you can't have the money, that it allows the money in as well.
And allows generosity.
Yes, absolutely. There was something else said basically at an identity level. So, who you are, it doesn't match the version of you with the money. Yeah. So
Yes.
there's an identity level block there.
Having, like you, over the years, dealt with a lot of people and their blocks on different issues, we know ultimately that how we identify ourselves is so important.
So the thing is, the beauty of something like MBIR is we can work with how you know you've got that problem. So you class yourself as modest. What does modest mean? I'm a modest person. What does modest mean to you?
It means I'm a gentle, empathic soul who helps people in a kind way, helps them lead their best life, which is why we're calling ourselves Best Life Publishing. And now the new book is Tap Into Your Best Money Life. So I want people to have the best life for them. And it may not be 10 pairs of designer shoes, especially as we move forward in our age groups. Our values change. For me, I suppose my desire would be to fly business class whenever I fly, which I don't necessarily because I'm too modest. Why splash out that money when I could keep it for other things? So that would be an example for me.
All right. So there's a lot of good things you said there that I think you would value. There's some very beautiful things about who you are. But when you think of modest and money, how does that relate? What does modest mean?
I think I'm a failure if I'm too modest with money compared with the teachings and how you read clearing your money blocks to living your best prosperous life. My book is called The Prosperity Blueprint. And we're talking to people who maybe have had to change either their cultural or their family or their early childhood or even past life patterning. I'm looking for people actually who can relate to that with their different modalities. Maybe it's something the way they did it. And with you and MBIR, I'm keen to know how we would do that. In my case, say, or someone like me, who may not be stuck in debt, or they may, but they may have that next level, as you say, of wanting to expand. And there seem to be so many people in social media telling you how quick and easy it is with AI and Claude and other ways to expand your income today without going step by step through a job. What do you think of that? What have you found with your clients?
I just say when you put in a lot of effort into things, sometimes it can act as a repulsive force. I very much believe in the law of attraction, so change you and what you're attracting to you. And something like the MBIR changes you in a very beautiful way, puts you into a really coherent state in which you tend to have better feelings inside, like appreciation, gratitude, etc. If you've got those kind of feelings inside of you, I think you're going to have a very different level of the things you're attracting to you, rather than if you've got fear, doubt, etc. Really, MBIR would be connecting with those good things. And as I said to you before, there is a very beautiful modification I put in this. I call it at the moment the Multiverse, but I might need to change that. We'll decide on that. It's a part of MBIR where we find the resources we need to help us achieve the things we want to achieve. And I very strongly believe there's the idea that there are many parallel universes out there, versions of us. Yeah. And as I said to many other people, there's probably a parallel universe out there with a Caryl who really doesn't have any money at all. She's penniless on the street. So that's probably a case. However, we're not going to consult with that one because she hasn't got what we're looking for.
I like that. It kind of steps into an area I'm also interested in, this future self, getting entangled with the future self, as Dr. Joe Dispenza puts it, or as science puts it. But without the inner repatterning, you can jump to a future self in the multiverse, but you're not, can you see what I'm saying? It's not the same as having shifted. You can ask her, what did you do to become you? How did you shift the patterns I'm stuck with? But are you getting it from the right level? The answer.
I think not future self, parallel self who's already got what you want. Yeah.
Yes.
In fact, what I called him when I ran my retreat over in Spain is the wow version of you.
The wow. Yes, I like that.
That when you look at that version of you, you go, wow, that's what I want. She's got all the great things you have in your life. Yeah.
Yes.
Got all that beautiful empathy, all those beautiful qualities. However, the wow version of you has whatever money that you would love to have. And she's totally comfortable with it. So she's got all the beautiful things that you love about you. But equally, she's got that. Now, we can tap and we can see that version of us in that kind of parallel universe. But it's not so much necessarily asking her. It's in a way absorbing the energy of that.
Was that quite a common way to integrate a session with MBIR?
There is the idea, and it's well supported scientifically, there are many parallel universes out there, all operating now in this moment. And in each of those parallel universes, there is a different version of you. And the version of you that we want to connect with is what I would call the wow version of you that has all the beautiful things that you have in your life. But equally, she doesn't have the problem that you have. It's nothing to her. And that you would know this just by looking at it. There's something about her that just lets you know she's totally fine with money. She tracks whatever she needs in that most beautiful way. That when you look at it, it literally lights you up. And then we would bring the energy in rather than have to break that down, because it's more about the energy fields than breaking it down into one element, one piece of this, one other piece of this. It's the whole essence of that we bring in to us. And it's very powerful. And sometimes we do get blocks that occur when we do this because there can be parts of us that are resistant for whatever reason. And if that occurs, we can use the MBIR parts model to help deal with whatever blocks come up. I mean, it's a version of you in another kind of time stream, another universe. There's a lot of science out there that supports that idea anyway. So it's not going into your future. It's just stepping into or becoming aware of another parallel universe where there's already a version of you who already has what you want. Yes. So it's fate accomplished.
How do you ensure that multiverse part of you and you comes back to help you now?
Not so much come back to help you now. It's almost like putting your hand over your heart and type of having the sense of breathing that version of you through you. Soften your eyes as you do that, Caryl. Soften your eyes as you do that. Bring that smile into the muscles of your eyes. And just imagine in front of you is a window. And through that window is that version of you, the wow version of you. That you know just by looking at her, she's everything you love. Yeah. All the good things in your life, the beautiful qualities. Equally, though, she also has money and she feels just so comfortable with that. Yeah, it's perfect. Does that feel good looking at that?
It is. Immediately, I saw through the window this beautiful garden, and you can see I've got some roses depicted here. And of course, as my vision expanded, there was the beautiful setting for this garden that she was sitting in, and in a most beautiful outfit, knowing that her finances doesn't have to think about them right now. She's just enjoying the fruits of who she is. And
so it's a vibrational state, it's an energy. There's that energy, therefore, that you can see her, and it lit you up when you were seeing that. And it came from you. So then what we would do is, if you soften your eyes again, bring it into that nice soft vision state. Remember to breathe. And just allow your vision to expand out with that smile in the muscles of your eyes. And as you look at that wow version of you, there's something about her that just lets you know money isn't an issue to her. Yeah, not at all. She's totally comfortable with it. Absolutely comfortable with it. And as you do that, and when you're ready, just have a sense of breathing the essence of her energy through your hand, through your heart. and allow your heart to communicate that energy to every cell, every fiber within you. No efforts required. Just simply set that intention and allow that to happen naturally. And your heart knows how to do that. To communicate to the deepest level of you, Carl, to the deepest level of you, and even surrounding you in that wonderful energy. Just for a moment, what's happening for you now, Carl? What are you experiencing?
I tuned into the energy of people I've read about, and it's not only the ex-wives of billionaires, whose main concern is how they're going to distribute some of the billions that they've encountered. So for me, there was that energy of my next concern isn't how much money I've got in the bank, but meeting with the people who will be discussing where I can be, and what's it called, when you give away money, where I can most be of good in the world with the money that I have to spare, let's put it that way. The ability now to enjoy giving. So that did come to me as an energy.
And how does that feel right now?
Great.
I think you felt probably very different than what you felt earlier on.
Yes.
And you can see how connecting with this is creating change within.
Someone watching, I think it's so much easier. What you've done is very, I think, astute, is to show it in action, to get a response, and then say, it's not just steps 1, 2, 3, 4. It's something that you can apply and learn to apply if you're a healer or coach in your own work, if you train with you. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm setting up the organization behind the growth of this right now, because there's so much that can be done with this in a very beautiful way, and it's solution focused. You don't need to go into the problem, talk about the problem, analyze the problem. We do enough of that in life, isn't it, really?
Yes.
And I think this is a beautiful technique for helping break free of what's been tethering you or holding you back. A very interesting technique that doesn't use force. It just does it in a very gentle way.
Which I think in these times, it's very much in tune with what we understand now in psychology of ways to reset our nervous systems.
People love it as well. And some of the people I've trained have taken it into the corporate world, the business world, and work with people in that environment. And this goes down very well there, because when people are in the corporate world, they don't really always want to be telling you about the problems or limitations they have. They just want that to be shifted. So with an approach that is so solution focused, it goes down really well. When you're in a work environment, you don't want to be telling your colleagues about all the problems you've got because that could negatively affect you. So people are very reluctant to do that. But here, it's about changing the energies. It can work very well in a group environment because it doesn't require that element. In the early days, when we were creating this, one of my people I trained with this, she took it into group environments, and she was working with anger groups and things like that. She had people who had degrees of autism. Now, obviously, there are many degrees of autism, and I wouldn't say this at the high end, probably at the lower end. But she did share with me that one of these people who came on this training, kind of this group environment, says to her afterwards that they really loved the approach because they didn't need the words to explain what was happening for them. It was one of the only techniques that had ever helped in that way. Because you don't need to be explaining to the other person what's going on for you. You can just be simply guided through a process that resets the system in a very healthy way. And this does that little bit I did with you on establishing a safe state. That really does calm the nervous system, brings us into regulation. And it's a very powerful little thing to do. And all it involves is tapping, breathing, as in breaking the holding on of the breath cycle. So tap, breathe, and come into the peripheral vision, the softer vision state. And then to enhance it, you can bring a smile into the muscles of your eyes. It releases feel-good hormones.
Tania, where can people find out more about you and maybe get on your mailing list to know when you launch fully with MBIR?
They can go and find out more about me at my main website, which would be www.taniaprince.com. Tania with an I, so it'd be Tania and another A, and Prince, PRINCE.com.
What an amazing and gentle way to repattern our money blocks. I certainly feel richer already after that mini session. If something came up for you, tell us in the comments. What do you sense might be a block in you to having and receiving more money? This episode is part of my ongoing series in which I invite experts in mindset, manifestation, EFT tapping, hypnosis, and other transformational approaches to share practical ways to clear our money blocks and create a richer life. Subscribe for more interviews like this. And up next, watch my conversation with Dr. Joe Vitale, who asks a powerful question: what blocks your best money life?